David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I'm back podcasting in the car. I'm out the front of a gig I'm about to do. My brother and my mum have come down from Port Macquarie for my daughter's birthday party this Sunday. So the house is going to be packed for the next fucking 4 days, and I'll be portable potting. Anyway, I watched the vice presidential debate today. Well, last night, a little bit of last night and a little bit of today. And I'll tell you this, I would feel a lot more comfortable with the future of the world if these two were the candidates. Yes, Waltz has some pedo vibes, and JD Vance is in the pocket of Peter Thiel. But it was so fucking refreshing to listen to two articulate people debate debate topics and policy. The only thing fucking completely insane about the whole thing was they were there trying to pump up their presidential candidate, which is one of the dumbest bitches that's ever got through anything. And the other one's Donald Trump, who is he's Trump. There's no other way to describe him. That part was fucking absurd. Two coherent, articulate human beings out there cheerleading for whatever they are. I don't even know what they are. Trump and Kamala. Now, I haven't watched the entire thing, and everyone on Twitter is saying fucking JD Vance smashed Waltz. But from what I saw, Vance was definitely the more composed and the more articulate, and he definitely knew what he was talking about more. But fucking Waltz was holding his own a little bit. It wasn't a humiliation. I watched the first half hour, and it wasn't a complete drubbing. You feel more confident about JD Vance just because how composed he was. It was actually delightful to watch someone who had command of what he was saying and knew basically everything inside out. With Waltz, you get the feeling he would be a shill. He would do whatever you say. He wouldn't be running the country. With Vance, you get the feeling he would stand up for himself. He would push back. He has his own ideas. But in the end, both of them will be standing in front of the Wailing Wall with their hand on the wall and tears streaming down their eyes. That's where they both will be. And the first question, what a strange question for the first question to be, what would you think if Israel made a preemptive strike on Iran? The first question. Is there not enough problems going on in America? Couldn't they have dug up some shit inside America? Is everything just running smoothly in America? Basically, it was like, Israel is going to bomb the shit out of Iran. Do you support it? And luckily, they both support it. I've been thinking about the Israel-Iran thing just all fucking day. I've been trying to play out all the game theory with it. Every situation ends up with Israel nuking someone in a desperate attempt for self-preservation. I just don't know how the world now is going to avoid nuclear war at some point. If we do, there's divine intervention involved. I remember when I was deep down in the conspiracy fucking realm, and apparently during the Cold War, there was this one time, this Russian guy had the controls to the nukes, and all the alarms were going off or some shit. And he went to turn the key, and there was some God's hand stopped him or something like that, or an alien or something. And at the time, I was like, that's probably true. Alien probably did stop his hand. But I just don't see how it's avoidable now. There's just fucking dirty, murderous scumbags fucking everywhere. Warmongers, terrorists, genocidal maniacs, neocons, fucking everyone is just frothing for it besides the people. But the most likely situation I see is Israel starts a war with Iran that America gets dragged into. And once America gets dragged into that, they're going to be stretched too far across the world. They'll have to let their guard down. They'll have to ignore either Ukraine or China. And at this point, China can just waltz into Taiwan, take that, and Russia can just destroy Ukraine because the only thing keeping Ukraine in the game is the Americans. The only thing keeping Israel in the game is Americans as well, and the nuclear deterrent. But if Israel does start that war with Iran, which looks like it's going to happen in the next 2 days, the Russians and the Chinese are allied with Iran. So all you need to do is all they need to do, China and Russia, is feed fucking weapons and equipment to the 90 plus million Iranians. Remember, there's 10 million Israelis and 90 million Iranians. And if they're backed by fucking Russia and China, then the US are going to have to enter the fray if they continue supporting Israel. And then the US will be fighting a very intense proxy war with Russia and China through Iran for Israel. And at some point, America just overstretches itself. And if America overstretches, then at some point, it will have no choice but to abandon Israel, and Israel will be left to its own devices. And that's when I see big fucking problems. But there's also a play where Israel just strikes preemptively with a nuke and just deals with the consequences. And if they do that, then the world gets locked down in some sort of totalitarian fucking prison system where no one's allowed to go anywhere except if you join the army and want to fight in the war. At this stage, you just don't fight in the war. Just stay in your own country and defend your fucking turf. It's so fucking bleak at the moment. I'm just about overthinking about it. It's too fucking depressing. But I couldn't stop thinking about it today. Just all the fucking permutations and combinations. But do you know what I mean with the Iran thing? The US is fighting a proxy war with Russia at the moment through Ukraine. So the US are just fucking dumping money and equipment on them. And the goal is to wear Russia down. But if Israel starts this war with Iran, then they're eventually going to need the US's help. Men, not just equipment and money. And all Russia and China have to do is just do what the US has been doing with Ukraine. Just send fucking equipment and money and just wear them down with sheer numbers. Oh my God, fucking hell. All right, I'm over it. I need to go and be funny now, somehow. I've been thinking about this all day. I was going to not come because I was like, I'm too fucking depressed thinking about this all day to even attempt to be funny. But I'm a professional and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to be talking about the wars. Anyway, fucking that'll do it for tonight, and I'll see ya the fuck later.